Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. I am Wasim Abbas, Manager Coordination from Askaria Education System, and I welcome you all to the lesson live from England. So we have our native British teacher with us, Miss Donna. So Miss Donna, hand it over to you, please.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good afternoon. Okay, today we're going to look at a vocabulary around what do you eat. Okay, you're going to learn how to write a blog post about hosting a party. A blog is something that you read online. It can be an online journal or a set of advice. We're going to learn to describe dishes and their different ingredients. And we're also going to learn some linking words. Words like first, second, next, then, etc. So I'm going to share my screen with you. As I always say at the beginning of these sessions, this is it's a demonstration. Okay, so this session you may know all of the words, you may know all of the that we're going to cover today. Okay, if you were doing a class, a real class that's tailored for you, it would be tailored to your needs. Okay, it would be tailored at your level, and it would also be tailored around your vocabulary and grammar requirements. Okay, so please bear that in mind. This is a demonstration class. Okay, let me try and share my screen. No, hang on a moment. I'm coming back to the meeting because I can't see my screen. Okay, so you should now see on your screen a picture of a family. It's Unit 16, Lesson 4, What do you eat? Okay, let's have a look. Okay, as a means of introduction, think about yourself. Can you cook? Okay, we all eat numerous times a day, several times a day, but not everyone can cook, or not everyone actually likes to cook. Some people like to cook, but are not very good at it. And some people are good at cooking, but really don't enjoy the process. Okay, we've got some pictures on the screen. Picture A. Do you know what the person's doing there? They're making sushi. They're making Japanese sushi. B, we have some meat and vegetables that are on kebab or and on a barbecue. Someone's grilling them. C, we have some little cakes or muffins, maybe. And this is a particular type of cooking that lots of people find quite relaxing. You know, personally, I really like to bake cakes. I find it very relaxing doing it. I like weighing the ingredients. I like mixing them. And obviously, I like the delicious smell that comes from the kitchen while the cakes are cooking. And indeed, we've got a plate of different vegetables, things there. Are these cooking styles, are these things that you're familiar with? Have you tried to do any of them yourself? Yeah. Maybe. Okay, we've got 3 people on the screen, and they all have a very different approach to cooking. You know, Rishi tells us in picture A that he cooks every day and he makes most of his meals from scratch. Okay, from scratch means he buys all of the ingredients. He buys the vegetables, the fruit, the meat, the fish, whatever it is, and he chops it and he makes it from scratch. You know, he doesn't use any pre-prepared food. B is Denisa, and she says, I don't have much time, so I heat pre-made foods. Okay, so she doesn't cook. She buys food and she probably puts it in the microwave. So within a few minutes, it's all done. And finally, there's Camilla, and she tells us that she cooks only on special occasions, like for someone's birthday or at Christmas. So 3 very different approaches to food in the kitchen. People put different time, different efforts, and different amounts of money put into cooking. You know, generally it's cheaper, isn't it, to buy your ingredients from scratch than it is buying something that has been prepared in advance. Think about yourself and your family. Do you ever eat pre-made or pre-packaged foods? Is this a norm in your culture, or does it depend on what else is going on? Do you know people who only cook for special events? You know, and often that those people have 1 or 2 dishes that everyone knows and loves. You know, the dishes that they are famous for within their families or their groups of friends. So have a think about these questions and answer them with the people that you're sat with now. Does any family member have a special dish? You know, that dish that, as I said, is the famous one in the family. Now, is it a special kind of meat dish or fish dish, or is it a dessert that everyone always hopes that person cooks if they go to their house for dinner? Who's the best cook in your family? Is it your mother? Is it your grandmother? Is it an aunt? Is it your father? And who cooks the most in your house? And do you ever cook, or do you help in the kitchen? And how often do you do that? Think also about your family. Do people generally cook together? And as a family, do you eat together? You know, traditionally, families always ate together, didn't they? At least once a day. Sometimes that can be difficult now with our busy lives, where we're studying and maybe working or having extra classes. So to get the whole family together, sat around a table to eat, it can be quite challenging sometimes. And so that also makes those meals special, those occasions when you do that. We're going to learn or read about a particular type of cooking that is from New Zealand. Okay, it's a Maori type of cooking and it's called hangi. Okay, this is a Maori word, it's not an English word, but it is pronounced hangi. So we'll have a read of the text. Before we do so, on the left-hand side, we've got some vocabulary to help us. Okay, traditional. Okay, it tells us what traditional means. Traditional is a way of doing something that has been done like that for a long time, usually by a similar group of people. Okay, so you could have traditions in your own family, you know, that you always do something on a particular day or a particular celebration. Okay, or it can be something bigger, it can be something that's in your culture. And the second one, dig. And we've got a spade there or a shovel to show you. And that is to make a hole in the ground. You dig with a shovel or the spade and you create a hole in the ground. That's to dig. So let's learn about the hangi then. On special occasions, I like to put down a hangi. Okay? This is the verb, the phrasal verb that is used with hangi. put down a hangi. A hangi is a traditional way of cooking food in New Zealand, and it involves cooking food in the ground. It takes quite a long time, but everyone helps, and we enjoy spending the time together. My friends usually dig the hole in the ground and prepare the fire while I get the food ready. I cut up meat and lots of vegetables like potatoes, carrots, and onions, and we cook them in the hole. So, how many hours do you think that takes to do all of that? To actually prepare the hole, prepare the food, and cook it? I think it's going to take several hours, isn't it? It's not going to be a quick process. Think about a traditional way of cooking or preparing some food or drinks in your country. Do you have something similar to a hangi? Or is there a particular cooking method that is famous, that is used on special occasions? I think quite a few cultures have this this process of cooking food underground, don't they? So long and slow cooking underground. Okay, we've got some more pictures on the screen now, and we can match the pictures to their descriptions, A, B, and C. Okay? And these are all different ways that we can prepare food, and some are more traditional in some countries than others. The first picture is a picture of a wok. Okay, the pan is it's called a wok, and many traditional foods from China, Vietnam, and Cambodia are prepared in a wok. But yes, they're also common in other countries these days. Picture B is the traditional way of preparing salmon in Scandinavian countries. Scandinavian countries, countries like Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland. And it's a process whereby the salmon is cured in salt, sugar, and dill. So you get the fish and you cover it with salt, sugar, and dill. Dill is a herb. It's a very fine herb with very fine leaves. In English, we often call this type of salmon gravlax. Okay. And the last one, picture C, this is a picture of sauerkraut. Okay. Very traditional in Germany. And this is a process of pickling. And pickling is another traditional way of preparing food, of cooking it. The sauerkraut is a famous dish made of pickled cabbage. Okay, but we can pickle any kind of vegetables. Okay, and we can use a process of either vinegars or a heavy salt water mix for the pickling. Pickled foods are not everyone's taste, but they're very strong flavours. They might also be very spicy. Do you eat pickled foods? Do you like them? If you do, what's your favourite? And if you don't like them, why don't you like them? Personally, I love them. Pickled onions and pickled limes. Does your country have traditional utensils for cooking? Do you know the English words for them? Could you describe them in English? In some countries, it was traditional to salt and pickle or cure foods to preserve them for longer. Why is that? Do you know the reason? Pickling is a way of helping the food last longer. So if you're in countries that are very hot or have periods of the year where they're very cold and dark, you might not have much access to fresh food. So by taking the food when it's fresh and salting it or pickling it, you can have it for the later months. And once the harvest is in, you do something with those fruits and vegetables so you can eat them months later. You know, whether that's making them into sort of a sweet jam, or whether it's making them into a sauce, or whether it's making them into pickles that you can enjoy with other foods. Have a look at these dishes that are on the screen. Got 4 very different types of food. We've got tacos from Mexico. We've got a salad that seems to have lots of fruit in it, as well as vegetables. We have a pizza, very famous pizza, and we have scrambled eggs and bread in the last picture. Think about what ingredients there are in those dishes. What are the different things that you would use when you were cooking those? How would you prepare those dishes? Do you know how you would prepare it? And which of those dishes do you think is the easiest to prepare, and which is the most difficult? I suppose the pizza, if you are making it from scratch, so you're making the dough as well, that's probably the most difficult, isn't it? And the easiest? Well, probably the salad, because the salad has no cooking, has it? You are just chopping the vegetables. What kind of words do we use when we're talking about preparing food? Now, I've got chop with a knife when you cut something up. Mix when you stir things together. We have pour when you add liquid to other ingredients. You pour it in. And add, you know, when you put something else into a dish, you know, you add it. Okay. So think about how you would prepare a dish. It doesn't have to be one of those. How would you do it? How would you explain it? Start thinking about the words that you would use to do that. Okay, we have a description of 2 dishes on the screen now. We've got a chili and we've got mince pies. Let's read about these dishes, and as we read, think, could you make them? Do they sound easy to you to make? I'm not much of a cook, but one dish I like to make is chili. I would love to be able to say that I make the sauce from scratch, but in fact, I use cans of tomatoes, kidney beans, and a packet of chili mix from the supermarket, just like my mom. For me, it's the true definition of comfort food, a tasty, filling meal that really warms you up on a cold winter's day. Why is chili comfort food? This word comfort food, a nice little phrase for you. The writer describes it, don't they, as a tasty, filling meal that really warms you up on a cold winter's day. And that's a very good description. Maybe it's a cold winter's day, or maybe you don't feel particularly well. Maybe you feel a little bit sick. Maybe you have a cold or something. And you've got a big dish of something that soothes your throat, that makes you feel warm, reminds you of your family, maybe. Reminds you of being a child again, or a young child. So it's that type of food. You know, the type of food that really makes you smile and feel happy. The second one, mince pies. I love to cook mince pies. Mince pies are small, sweet pies made of pastry and filled with dried fruit and spices. And British people often eat them at Christmas time. I remember making them with my mother when I was little. They are very easy to make, and now that I'm grown up, making mince pies at Christmas always takes me back to my childhood. So for this writer, mince pies are probably also comfort food. These kinds of fruit pies, is this something that you would traditionally eat too? What foods do you make and eat for special occasions, for celebrations, or for festivals? Tell the people around you, what are those special foods? Again, they could be foods that are traditional in your country, or they might just be particular things that your family enjoy together. What are your comfort foods? The foods that you always want to go to when you may be not feeling too well or maybe cold. Okay, we're going to start looking at how we write about food. And we've got two versions on the screen of essentially the same thing. On the left, we've got numbered 1 to 6. We've got the basic recipe, how to make a chili. Okay? And on the right, we've got part of a blog post. This is something that you would read online. It goes into a lot more detail about how to prepare the chili dish. Have a look at them both and see what words are used. What's the difference between these two texts? Obviously, in the right-hand side, in the blog post, we have a lot more detail. Yeah, the recipe just tells us the bare facts of the things that we need to know and the things that we need to do. Some of the same language is used. You know, words like heat the oil. You know, these are instructions. Okay, so we just use the verb. We don't add you or another pronoun. We just use the verb. Heat, chop, add, cook, pour in, add. All those words we talk about when we're describing how to make something, how to prepare a dish. On the right-hand side, we have more details. We have more information to help us decide how small to chop the onion and garlic. It tells us to chop the onion and garlic finely. Finely means very small. And it tells us we need to cook the onion, garlic and chili pepper for 10 minutes until the onions are soft. Okay, so we can squidge them with the spoon. And it also tells us, it gives us some extra tips on tasting the food. Does it need more chili? Does it need more salt? And then it also tells us how to serve it, how we can eat it, and add cheese or parsley, another green herb, to it to make it look pretty and to give it more flavour. So we've got some useful words in both of them about how to explain how to make a dish. Do you think it's important to do the steps in order? On the left, we have numbers 1 to 6, which tells us step 1, step 2, step 3, etc. And then on the right, we have words like first and next and after that and finally. Is it important that we do the steps in order? What do you think? It is, isn't it? You can't, the different food takes different time to cook. And it's given in order for a reason, so that it cooks. By the end of the process, it will be all cooked together. And of course, you can't start the cooking process until you've heated the oil. That has to be the first step. You don't add the oil last and then turn on the gas, do you? Let's have a closer look at some of these linking words, these words like first and after that and finally. In English, particularly when we're writing, we like to take our reader on a journey. Okay, whatever we're writing, we like to give clues to our reader of where we are going next. Okay, what's the next paragraph about? Is it still the same idea, or are we moving on to a different subject? Okay, so they give us clues on how to navigate a text that we're reading. And in a recipe like this, it's actually being very clear to us. It's telling us very clearly what we do at each stage. So there's no confusion about when we do something. You probably have linking words in your own language, in your native language. Do you use them a lot? And are they used in the same sort of way as they're used in English? We really do use them in lots of different contexts in English, these linking words. And you probably know lots of other linking words that you use when you're writing. But these are really useful. Words like first, second, next, after that, finally. They really tell us how to do things and when to do them. Okay, another reading, lots of reading in today's lesson. And this is another blog post. And this is where we will finish later on, is you are going to write your own blog post. But let's have a look at an example first. So this is a post that you might read online saying, if you like to cook, why don't you host a party for your friends? So let's have a look. Let's read the text and let's have a look at some of the top tips. What advice does this person have if you're going to host a party? You've taken the plunge and decided to invite some friends over for a dinner party. What should you do to help ensure that the evening runs smoothly? Okay, taken the plunge. Take the plunge means you've decided to do it. Okay, you've maybe thought about it for a while and then thought, yes, I'm going to do it. Okay. And to ensure the evening runs smoothly, that everything goes to plan, that there's no problems and everything works out the way you want it to work. So the first tip is about dietary requirements. First, check whether your guests have any special dietary requirements. You need to know if there are any vegetarians or if anyone has a nut allergy before you plan your menu. Number 2, tried and tested. Next, reduce your stress levels by cooking dishes that you are confident you know how to make well. This is not the time to try out an experimental dish that you have never made before. Number 3, Prepare beforehand. When you are thinking about the menu, make sure that there is at least one dish you can prepare the day or the morning before the dinner party. Then you will have less to do during the evening. Number 4, low maintenance dishes. After that, think about exactly what you will need to do during the dinner party. You don't want to be stuck in the kitchen all night, so don't choose dishes which will require your undivided attention. And number 5, final touches. Finally, give some thought to the way you present the dinner table and, of course, the food. Great presentation can help to turn a simple meal into something special. So, what do you think of those tips? Do you agree with them all? Are they all useful? Do you disagree with any of them? Do you have other ideas? What advice would you give? Does it depend what kind of food you can cook? The writer has lots of advice for us, but maybe some of it would not apply in our circumstances. Talk to the people that you're with at the moment. What else is important for a dinner party or a party at your home if you've decided to invite your friends to a party? How many people would you invite? When and where would you have the party? Would you have it at home or would you think about doing it somewhere outside? What type of food would you prepare? Would you prepare all of it or would you buy some of it already made? Would you decorate the place, the room or the table? And how would you do that? What's important to you when you're going to a party? As well as how many people would you invite? Who would you invite? Who would be on your guest list? Sometimes it's fun to write a guest list of anybody. You can have anybody on your guest list, whether they're famous, just your dream guest list. If you were having people, you're hosting people at your home, who would you want? If you could have anybody, who would you invite? It's quite a nice discussion to have, and it's very interesting to see what people say, what ideas people have. All of these people on the screen now have got things that they see as potential problems if you are having a dinner party. Some do's and don'ts about inviting people to your home. A says, my friend John always invites James to his dinner parties. James and I don't like each other. Is this something to avoid? People don't like each other? Is it always possible to do that? What if it's family? Or what if you are good friends with both of them? Should you take this into account or not? What do you think? How do you feel as the host? And how do you feel as a guest if other people don't get on, don't like each other? Maybe there will be arguments. Is that a big problem? Probably. In B, she says, I never serve fish at a dinner party. There's always someone who doesn't eat seafood. What do you think? Is it a good idea to check what kind of food people don't eat? C, I usually organise dinner parties on the weekend. People are busy during the week. Do you agree with that? You want to invite people to a party and no one can come, or only a few people can come. If it's at your birthday or it's a special occasion that's on a particular day. So maybe sometimes you would still have it on a day when other people are busy. And D, I want to eat good food at a dinner party. I don't want pizza or burgers. What do you think? Can you have simple food at a dinner party? Could you buy food that's already been prepared from a restaurant or somewhere else? How would your friends and family feel about that? Is that something that traditionally you would do or not do? Or does it depend? Does it depend what the occasion is? And does it depend who is invited to the party? Lots of things to think about. Do you think it's also important that all the people at the party know each other? Or is it okay that some people don't know each other? You know, we all have different groups of friends, don't we? And then we have our family. Okay, so some of them may or may not know each other. You know, we may know some people from our studies, we may know some people from dance class or wherever, whatever we do. How do you bring those people together? And so let's have a look at what your writing activity would be. And I really, really encourage you after this lesson to spend 10-15 minutes actually trying to write this now. We've done there's some useful vocabulary in this. It's always good practice to write. It helps you remember any new words or phrases that you've learnt. And this is quite fun, really. So your job is going to be to write a blog post with the title, How to Organise a Fantastic Dinner Party. And you don't have to write a lot. Okay, we saw a blog post earlier, which we will go back to in a minute. And you should write about at least 5 things that you should remember or think about when you're organising a party. And to practice using the linking words like first, then, after that, next, and finally. So the more that we use these words, the more it becomes our habit when we're writing. It's very, very common in English to use linking words when we're writing anything like this. Okay, it sets a very clear sequence to what you need to do. In how to do this, I would suggest that you first of all think about your top 5 ideas. Okay, what are your 5 ideas about how to organise a party? What are the things that you really need to think about? And then think about the order that you will put them in. Okay, so which is first, which is then, which is after that. You know, so put your ideas with the linking words. That gives you an outline structure to your piece of writing. Always plan your writing. Never just try and write it from the outset. Always plan it first and then use your notes to enable you to help you write the full text, the full draft. Okay? So that's your first thing. Think about your 5 ideas and then think about what order you would put them in and link them to the linking words. And there's a reminder on the screen. Don't forget to use capital letters and periods or full stops. Yeah, don't forget your punctuation. Now, if we forget our punctuation, then it can make things very difficult to read. To help you, let's quickly go back to the blog post we read earlier about how to host a party. Now, those were the ideas. Checking whether anyone doesn't eat something or they have an allergy to some type of food. Okay. Do you cook something or do you prepare something that you know how to make or you know that everyone loves? Okay. What can you do beforehand? Is there something you can prepare in advance? Or would you ask someone else to do something for you if you know they're good at it? Low maintenance dishes. Remember that was dishes that don't need a lot of your attention. Okay? If you've got your friends around, then you want to spend lots of time with your friends. You don't want to be in the kitchen next to the cooker all night, do you? And then they had some ideas about decoration. Okay, is there a particular colour that you want to have in the room? Candles. Okay. Can you make fancy animals and things with napkins? How do you make it special? Particularly if this is for a special occasion, it's someone's birthday or some other celebration. So lots of ideas for you. Okay, we've covered a lot today in terms of vocabulary, in terms of setting out a recipe, and also how to write a simple blog post, showing a sequence of events. What you do first, next, and so on. So please, I encourage you after this to spend a few minutes working on that to help you consolidate your learning today and to help you remember the vocabulary and structures that we've looked at. Okay, that is the end of the lesson. So I will stop sharing my screen now. I thank you all very much for your time. I hope you found it useful. And I hope to see you again in a classroom very soon. Masalam.
Thank you very much, Miss Donna. It was another impressive lesson from the series of good lessons from you. So I'm thankful to all participants, and I'm thankful to the team of Learning 365 who spared the time and arranged the session first. So thank you very much, everyone. Thanks a lot. Take care of yourself. Bye bye. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.